Let's bring in Bruce Mehlman.
These companies have been very successful.
Nobody better qualified in this town and more respected than Bruce Mehlman.
How do we handle this hinge moment in history? We're at a crossroads.
I'm going to talk about the age we're in, how politics and changes in society marry up with the types of things that you are seeing, that you're feeling, that you're either leveraging or that creates risks and opportunities for you. So to understand where things are going, you have to start, how do we get here? And I think too many people make the mistake of attributing it to one event or to one person. I think it is multi-decadal. Three big macro trends that explain the world and explain politics: tech, geopolitical, cultural. Start with tech.
Who do you turn to help make sense of things? Well, in the 20th century, you might turn to these institutions that you belong to, that were broad-based and that we trusted. But in the 21st century, nothing is secret and no one is sacred. We've lost trust in so many institutions. Don't take these anecdotes for it. The Gallup polling organization every year asks Americans across a host of institutions, how much trust do you have? The highest, great deal, quite a lot, you see more than 6 of 10 were above 50% in the year 1977. Today, only the military is trusted by more than half of Americans. Hell, only the military is over 40%, and military and church are the two over 30. If you are unhappy, if you feel that your life is disrupted, then what are you going to do at the voting booth? You're going to vote for change.
In the 10 elections of the 60s and the 70s, 3 were change elections. Fast forward, 10 more in the 80s and the 90s, and of those 10, 4 were change elections. This century, we just had our 13th federal election. Of the 13 this century, 11 have been change elections. For those who say yes, it's because Donald Trump, recall he arrived in 2016. He's far more of a symptom than a cause, more of a catalyst, really, about what we're seeing. And further proof of that is it's happening around the world.
My macro theory of what's going on is that most citizens look around at the policies and the parties and the institutions that govern our lives, and they think, you know, these were created in the 20th century for the 20th century. We feel vulnerable. We feel fragile. We don't feel protected, and we're voting for change.
At the end of the day, in the 2020s, businesses should be engaged, but you're businesses. You're not NGOs. And I think important to understand how and when to engage. We've been through a bunch of years where the leaders of universities were afraid of their students. In the same way some employers were afraid of their employees, we were due to get to some kind of natural reset where what you say could come back to bite you whether you're on the left or you're on the right. And maybe folks thinking before they tweet, that should make for a healthier country.
Look past the headlines. The biggest news story is not always the most important thing happening in the world. In 1994, the biggest news story was Newt Gingrich and the Republican revolutionaries taking over Congress. But what changed the world more, that or the birth of e-commerce? In 2007, it was the mortgage foreclosure crisis. Well, that was the year the iPhone came out. And I believe my prescient quote at the time was that you can take my BlackBerry from my cold, dead hand. I was never giving up that keyboard. We've all been focused on COVID, for years now. But what are we missing?
I'm happy to take questions at the end, and these days when you talk politics in Washington, you can also just stand up and scream out, "You lie," and we can go back and forth.
Bruce Mehlman is one of the most thoughtful, insightful, and plugged-in lobbyists you'll meet in Washington, D.C. He's also one of the most popular speakers year after year at the SIC.
It's really an honor to be here. Usually they put me right before happy hour because not that politics make people happy as much as hotels find it's a great way to get people to drink more. Bottom line, I can't remember a sense of more possibility, both good and dangerous, for businesses in any year I've ever worked in Washington. And so for you guys, the question is, do you want to be at the table with IFA or on the menu? I appreciate the introduction, though. The shorter version is much better. This is Bruce Mehlman. You don't know why you're listening to him, but hopefully you'll be glad you did.
So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bruce Mehlman.